Welcome, guys, and welcome to another episode of Rugby Champs. I've got my fellow champions, Jacques and Dara. It is a bit of a somber week for us as franchise supporters, with all of our teams going down. But as you can see, Springboks going up on top. Unfortunately, not knocking off Dara's island, which is a bit weird. You're wearing a hot Spurs, so you don't get to talk much this episode.
Don't even start. They're playing right now. I have them up in the background. So, if I scream or I start throwing things throughout this podcast, you'll know that they've either scored or conceded. So,
Yeah, I
just
mean,
keep that in mind.
yeah. So let's start off, Dara. How are things going your side?
Uh, they could be better. Obviously, we get on to them, or we'll get on to them, right? But
Yeah.
the weather's been terrible. As well, just to reflect the mood of Munster rugby at the moment. But it could be worse. I could be a Leinster fan. So, how are you getting on down south? Down south?
It's actually been quite lovely. We actually have temperatures hitting the 30s this weekend. It's a good thing that the Stormers are up in Italy this weekend. And what about you, Jacques? How's things going your side?
Well, if we talk about weather-wise, it's same as my mood. Very heartbroken with a brilliant start the Sharks had, and then just poof, gone. So I cried myself to sleep a bit over the weekend, but it's all good.
I second
I
that.
think we,
I second that
I
right
think we
now.
all had a whoop. There it goes. Moment this weekend. Let's first start off with the rounding up of the championship right now. I mean, New Zealand and Australia. I think that was a game that justified New Zealand. It was a bit of a weird start for them, especially with the Australians all of a sudden waking up. It looked like a completely different Australian game or Australian team that was playing. I mean, they were putting points on the All Blacks, and they were keeping the All Blacks on their heels, and then it just seemed like they just let it go, parked the bus and lost it. I don't know what you guys think about that.
Yeah, I think Australia played for about 25, 30 minutes maybe. They played some really good stuff. They looked really, really dangerous. But then, you could tell at the start of the second half, they were clinging on. They were holding on. The All Blacks were getting near their line and not scoring. And once the All Blacks kind of got over two scores ahead, you could just see them. They got comfortable. They kind of started trying new things. They brought on a few new players. But yeah, you could see that towards the end, it kind of became a bit too comfortable for New Zealand. But overall, I think New Zealand won't be happy. I know they finished second. They've snuck second place somehow in this championship, undeservedly snatched it from Argentina. But it's been a poor championship. They've lost three games, especially that one against Argentina. They'll be sick about. Australia, obviously, they got the win against Argentina, but you know, they've taken more hidings than positives. I guess they've shown in some games, they've shown a lot of fight in Sydney against New Zealand. They showed fight in the first game in Argentina. But the November tests will kind of be more of a measurement for them, I think. And that was always the case. These are kind of Schmidt trying to build in a bit of character into this team. We'll see how Australia get on going up north. We'll see how New Zealand get on going up north. But I think both of them will kind of look at this championship and be a bit disappointed with how it's kind of turned out.
Jacques?
Yeah, I'm with him on that. You can see as the championship progressed, it felt to me like the New Zealand team, as you expect, they would ease into getting even better, and you can actually see the real potential of especially the younger guys that came through. And it's as if the game plan in this last game just literally just got on, and they gelled together quite well. I'm exceptionally proud of the way Argentina has performed, beating Australia and New Zealand. Like we said the other day, that it was an inevitable situation that's going to happen because Argentina is being tested against the best in the world. So obviously they're gonna improve the discipline which they never had. which to see how they improve as a team as well. Fantastic. I think the Australians, they've got a bit of work to do before their November series. For me, they're just a bit too inconsistent, and they dropping the pedal about 55 minutes into the game on each of the games that they played. You can see they can't play the full 80, and I think that's going to bite them at the end.
No, I mean, I agree. I mean, right now, I will be honest. New Zealand have for me, two definitely great finds in the likes of Tupuvia, Vai, and Wallace Sititi, who had an awesome game against the Wallabies. I mean, the Wallabies, they came out completely fighting, and I think this is what everybody's been expecting of the Wallabies. And hearing that New Zealand was on the back foot in New Zealand was already like, okay, how's this game going to turn out? And it was going perfectly and everything like that. And then all of a sudden, just like I said, it looked like they had parked the bus and they just lost it. I mean, it was a complete and utter surprise from the way they played. But I mean, at least New Zealand looked like they played 80 minutes. They didn't have that 60 minutes waiting and then okay, now we can score. And everything, which was good to finally see. I mean, again, okay, cool. They had the last try was scored in the 65th minute, which is still a bit of a concern. That's 15 minutes into left of the game to play. But at least it wasn't like, okay, cool, got to 60 minutes and I'll sit back and wait. So it looks like they are working on that. Unfortunately, Australia got the 13 points in the beginning and that was it. And then all of a sudden it was just all the All Blacks seeing the likes of not Geordie Barrett, sorry, Will Jordan getting over the try line, getting back to his old self. It was also kind of good. But yeah, it wasn't the start of the game wasn't what I was expecting, and I was expecting more of the game when it started. The way it ended was kind of the result I was thinking that the All Blacks were going to win, but not to the point that it was a 20-point victory.
Yeah, I think that it was a bit disappointing from Australia. They did fall off a bit, but you could see, I think this was kind of a tester game for both sides. It was a free hit for Australia, certainly. They weren't expected to get a win, and they would have had to win to get off the bottom of the table. So it was sort of a free hit. They were kind of, you could see it in the first half. They gave it all. They kind of hit everything. They fought really hard, took too much energy out of them. In the end, they just couldn't. When New Zealand probably took it up another gear, they just couldn't live with them. As I said, they were kind of holding on. They were making good turnovers towards the line. And for the first 15 minutes of that second half, they really clung on well. And I think that was stands to them that they really did kind of keep New Zealand in arm's length for a lot of that game. They had no right to, but eventually, New Zealand just broke. They just broke through. They just broke through on the scoreline, and they just done enough to really finally kill off the Aussie resistance. As you said, again, not scoring in the last 15 or 20 minutes. Real concern for them now. I mean, they have to go up to the Northern Hemisphere. They have to play Ireland, who are having a great game of back and forth with New Zealand at the moment. They have to play France, who are also having a game of back and forth with New Zealand at the moment. I don't know why New Zealand is picking enemies with everyone in the Northern Hemisphere, but they seem to be having their fun doing that at the moment, which I mean, I can't argue with. They have to play England as well, who are another side that will exploit the fact that if New Zealand, like very often that last 15 or 20, that England will be able to exploit that. So that's New Zealand's big work on for me going in to their Northern tour is to keep it up for the full 80, stop kind of dropping off in the last 15 or 20. If I was to pick a work on for Australia, I would think that it would be to manage when they peak. They seem to, if they peak in a game, if they're in a game, they seem to peak in it too early. That was nearly the case in the game they won in Argentina. It was certainly the case in the second game in Argentina. They peaked in the first 30. They had nothing left to give. And it was case again on Saturday. And in the other game in Sydney, it was the case that they peaked too late. They peaked too late in the second half to kind of change the results. So Australia need to manage, get 10 minutes here, 10 minutes here, instead of just going 25 minutes where they're completely on top, and then for the rest of the game going underneath the surface and not being able to hold on, not having the energy to hold on.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. I think we need to move on a bit, but before we move on, that whole article that and report that's come out, the fact that France is claiming they're going to bring their B team next year to New Zealand, and I find it very ironic that when they say the B team, and now New Zealand's apparently feels disrespected about it, might cause a bit of havoc when they go up, because they're going to want to prove a point in France. And thing where I do find it very ironic when, as soon as you mention a B team, like South Africa is playing their B team, everybody's like, okay, cool, it's a B team, but it's still a strong side. Is that going to be the same when it comes to France going to New Zealand? We can only wait because it's only next year, but I do think it is going to cause a bit of havoc for France when they play New Zealand in France, that New Zealand's going to come out wanting blood from get-go.
Yeah, well, I think at the same time, France sent their second teams down to Argentina this year, and they won again. Now, I know this was the first two games Conte rain. He kind of gave himself a free hit of sorts. But, France's second team, you're not playing Spain. You're still not playing a tier 3 nation. France's second team is still better than a lot of teams' first side. I think that, but this is the way France always carry on. If you look at France's, I've gone through it. I've looked through France's last 4 or 5 summer tests, summer internationals. Argentina this year sent a second team. They won a test, but they got battered in the other one. Japan in 22, they sent a second team. Australia in 21, where they won a test as well, they sent a second team. And in 2018, they went down to New Zealand and they sent a mix of a first team and the second team. They got absolutely smacked up down there. But the last 4 or 5 times, France are getting coined for this, for sending second teams down. So New Zealand shouldn't be surprised. I'd argue New Zealand shouldn't have organised the tour. If they would have been better off to organise it with Italy. I think, if they wanted a real first team to go down there, because obviously you have the British and Irish Lions tour, so that takes out 4 of your nations being able to send down a first team. So if New Zealand wanted the first team tour, I'd send Italy down instead of, going down with France, not looking at what they've done the last 4 years, and then being surprised when they do the exact same thing what they've done the last 4 or 5 years, and start calling for blood. Now, you referenced that game in Paris. I think that'd be interesting, because I think a lot of French people, a lot of French players will feel disrespected, especially if they're coined as second team, and New Zealand are saying, oh, this isn't good enough. A lot of them will also be baying out for blood. They're going to want to prove a point to New Zealand if France don't play, because obviously injuries and stuff, you will have second team players in there. They want to go to prove blood and say, we're good enough to take you on. We're good enough to beat you. So, yeah, I think that game would be absolute fireworks in Paris in November.
Oh. Jacques, what's your take on that?
I think they're all trying to pull a Rassi Erasmus move and try to play mind games. Sorry, did Spur lose their goal or what?
No, I'm after watching one of our players is after missing a shot my sister would score, and she's 9 years old.
No, but I mean, the whole playing a Rassi game, like I think that is going to become a feature in rugby. But is it a disrespect when someone's sending their B side? Because I mean, here in South Africa, when you go, oh, we're sending our B side, it's still a class team. But would that not be the case? I know there's been a couple of people who talk about who's the GOAT in rugby, and like a lot of Southern Hemisphere people are going, but this proves someone like Antoine Dupont isn't a GOAT because he never plays outside of the Northern Hemisphere. Which does open up the whole thing is he good outside of Europe or is he only good in Europe? We won't know until they finally decide to bring Dupont. But the thing is, if Toulouse isn't in the final, there's a good chance he'll probably be in the French squad?
I think if they do send a B side, it could be a way of testing their players to also see, because I don't think there's a lot of depth in the French rugby, not like the way that we've got in South Africa. It could be a way for them to start building up towards the 2027 World Cup. Maybe it could be to test the younger guys to see if they are capable of playing against the big nations in the world. I think they'll probably be. Everybody's got have his own theory about it. But I think the more Rassie gets an influence around the world, I think the more coaches will try to adapt his way of thinking and keep a older side, and you've got all the youngsters coming through. Send a B team with 5, 6, 7 experienced players, going over them as mentors or coaches or whatever you want to call it. Put them on the bench. Let the youngsters get a start. If you see they're struggling, you bring out on your French bomb squad or whatever, and it's the only way the youngsters are going to learn how to play the big teams in the world.
Agreed. Well, let's move on to the South African versus Argentinian game, where South Africa really gave it back to Argentina after the week before. As a South African supporter, I was great. I know I was watching with someone. They were upset that there wasn't the red card for the Fussy incident. However, I do think the way Fussy landed saved him from any further mitigation to that. Then there was a Pablo Montero, which we'll discuss definitely with you, Jacques. I believe Pablo Montero was maybe slightly hard undone because Koch was actually on the way up when he came in. Yes, I do believe it should have been a card, but red, I don't know. It was the first 20-minute red in an international game as well, from a team that had no cards to literally 3 cards in a game, and one of them was red.
Yeah, I think that Argentina, I think they'll be disappointed. I think they fell apart. They couldn't back up the last 2 weeks. Maybe, I don't know, the legginess gone into them, or, the fact they get so much against Australia, so much against South Africa. But they'll be disappointed. Argentina nowadays hold themselves in higher standards than to get, walloped by South Africa. South Africa are the second. Well, I don't know why I'm doing that. You are the second best team in the world. The rankings say you're the second best, but we'll get into that another day. You're the second best team in the world by stats. And, going there and losing, there's no shame. But Argentina hold themselves in higher regard than to get a 40-point shellacking away. So I think they'll be disappointed with that. They'll be disappointed with their discipline, which, as you said, Kirby, they had no cards. They're the only team in the rugby championship without a card going into the final game. And all of a sudden, they put a whole championship's worth of cards into one game, getting 2 yellows and a red. As you said, I think the red was harsh. I think it was a yellow. It was definitely a card. I think it was a yellow because, as you say, Koch was kind of, started kind of shooting up, and Matera has just got unlucky. But, the discipline was atrocious. I think that, that's what they'll have to sort out. They'll have to sort out that for going up north in terms of not having a game where they just go back into the Argentina of maybe 10, 11, 12 years ago that could get shellacked and start doing stupid things and giving away stupid penalties and stupid yellows. But if I was to take Argentina as a whole and say what they need to improve on to go up north in the autumn, it'd be difficult. There's a lot of things they've done really well, but I would still say the defence. I still would say the defence is to work on, because in terms of every game, they still concede a lot of points. I think their defence has to improve. Even the big wins, like they conceded 28 against South Africa, they conceded 30 against New Zealand, they conceded 27 against Australia when they shellacked them. So I think their attack is fine. I think their attack has been brilliant. It's one of the best in the world. Maybe didn't show that on Saturday, but they've shown it across the championship. But what they need to improve on is their defence. They need to, be better at holding teams out when they put them under pressure. As for the box, I think it was very good. It was one of their better performances. You know, they had a point to prove. You knew they were going to win the championship, but the point to prove was that they had to get revenge on Argentina because a lot of people didn't expect them to lose. They got it. I'd say again, it's difficult, but the box, you know, you kind of go back to last week rather than this week when you're looking at talking things to improve. And I'd say it's the start, the whole consistency of the game, where the kind of the end of the first half, that kind of 15, 20 minutes before the end of the first half is where they need to improve. They showed that against the Box in Cape Town, or not the Box, the All Blacks in Cape Town, where they conceded a good few points there. They conceded a good few against Ireland and Durban in that last 15, 20 minutes of the first half, and they conceded a good amount against Argentina. So if the Box are to improve, one is to keep the intensity up for those last 15, 20 minutes, and then you could say nearly it's, you know, you're making a very hard side to beat, even harder to beat.
Jacques, your view?
I've got nothing to add. He said it all perfect.
Yeah, a very knowledgeable guy. I mean, the Black Feather podcast were also very impressed. Yeah, but I mean, that game was fantastic. I mean, the memes coming around afterwards. What was the one? Cheslin Colby stepped that guy so hard that it looked like that guy was looking for money. And the other one is he stepped in so far he left him in the last week's game. So I mean, it was good to see the fan favorite Cheslin come back and play perfectly. Curtly had an awesome game as well. Peter Steph, my lord, probably the player of the tournament. Week in, week out that he played, he always put his hand up. There was not a time where that guy was off. I mean, that one-handed try that he still managed to get it on the guy's foot and then still get it to ground as well while diving over the rack. I mean, I don't know how any other team can actually look at him and not fear the silent 2-meter guy looking at them. I mean, it's ridiculous. That guy's a machine. What, the Malmesbury missile they call him apparently.
What? All the names of all these people. Wait, who thinks about all of this?
I have no idea. All I know is even though he's what's called Ruben Castile, apparently he went to Malmesbury High and everything like that.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
I think he'll be definitely rugby player of the year. There's no one in the world that
Week
stood
in,
out
week out.
the way. There's no ways.
I don't know what our Irish counterpart has to say about that.
I don't know about player of the year, but I think I'd give performance of the year to one Mr. Kieran Frawley for his two droppers in Durban.
Oh, yeah.
So you can have player of the year, we'll take performance of the year, and you know that's all good. Or you could give it to Mr. Libac for his last minute penalty against Argentina. I'll give that as moment of the year. Actually, we'll give that just a moment of appreciation for that.
Agreed.
Charitable donation of points to Argentina and charitable donation of much laughter to myself to one Mr. Libac.
Listen, Libac had an awesome game this last weekend, but I mean, they took the kicking responsibilities away from him.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day, Kirby. Now, come on.
But I mean, his running game was fantastic, and the amount of abuse he received from that first game against Argentina, and to come and put a performance like that, it takes a lot of mental strength to be able to make those funny little kicks, passes like this. I mean, he held the ball so well. There was a couple where there was a rush defense from Argentina, and he just held it that extra second and let the guy run straight past the line and straight behind him to Bussy or Cheslin or whoever was running on the wing at pace.
The thing is, if you get a player like that, yeah, he missed an important kick. But if the coach chooses him again, it shows confidence in the coach, which automatically boosts the confidence of the player. Yes, although the kicking responsibility was taken away, which I think was a good thing to put to take the pressure off him so that he can focus on the other aspects of the game, his running, his passing, his kick passing, which is brilliant. Once again, his defense is not bad. His eye for the gaps is brilliant. He is the all-round fly-off. He's really is a good fly-off. He just needs to, his big match temperament, focus, kick. I think that's the only thing. If he can sort that out, I think they're going to have a big problem between who's going to be the next fly-off after Pollard.
Did something happen there with that other pansy sport that you're watching to your left there, Dara?
No,
You saw
nothing.
the hand.
Nothing. You
saw
can
the
just,
hand.
I don't know, you can see the sweat. You can see there's the last 14 minutes was at a time. You can just start to see the sweat. And if I start stumbling over my words, because
What's the
I
score?
think it's 1-0. It's 1-0 Spurs at the moment. So, I mean, if it wants full time, I mean, if I just get up and I just start jumping around for a few seconds and,
Just
neat
mute
lighting,
yourself.
I mean, yes, I'll try.
No,
But I think
mean,
we'll have to move on to the URC, although none of us want to talk about it. It's the taboo topic of the week. I think the Storm. It's bad when Stormers got on probably the best out of the three, and Stormers. I don't want to say
but
lost the Ospreys like that's a bad thing, but the Stormers probably played better than the other two in terms of a full
I
game
mean,
perspective. Jack can have
uh,
the first half. You can have the first half. Congratulations. You can have the first half award of the week. But no, because the second half was abysmal. But the Stormers lost as well. The Ospreys, Kirby, I want to hear your analysis and try not to throw anything, please. But yeah.
no, listen, we had moments where we were building up phases and we were great, but we didn't capitalize on it. I'm always one of those that when people blame the ref, I hate it. But I have seen there has been a like an apology given by the URC. The fact that we were harshly blown against in the scrums, but that was just the scrums. It wasn't the full on game. I was a bit disappointed in our whole game, that the fact that we couldn't carry on with the pressure to finish it off. I mean, JD Schickling coming back to the Stormers literally carried on like he hasn't even left the Stormers, and he looks like he's become better. And I watched that game, and we had some awesome things. I mean, there's that one kick from Yuri Mati that curved straight back into, I think it was Zas's hands, like it was nothing. It was like David Beckham making a pass in rugby. It was there was such beautiful moments of play from the Stormers, but the Ospreys put their hands up and they did well, and they managed to stop us from getting any points. Hopefully this week is going to be a lot different against Zebra. Hopefully we can finish off better than some other teams.
We're playing the Ospreys this weekend, mate. So I mean, that's people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, really, because if we beat the Ospreys, I'm going to say the exact same thing. No, but I have to give credit to the Ospreys. I mean,
yeah.
I didn't watch the game live because, to be honest, I was avoiding everything rugby based on Saturday evening with a 15-foot pole. But no, the Ospreys, when they make me nervous, because I'm going down to Cork, it's a 2-hour drive, by the way. And we're playing them Saturday, I mean, after our result. But I think the Stormers didn't actually play that bad. I just think the Ospreys were better on the day. I mean, it can happen. The Ospreys finished 8th last season. If you finish in the top 8 of the URC, you aren't useless, you aren't mugs. So I think they had a point to prove after the Dragons game, because they should have won that Dragons game. But, Dan Edwards, he's surely he's going to be a Welsh number 10. He just looks so smooth and cool under pressure. Nailed a drop goal, it's like when Larkham hit one against South Africa. I don't know, was it 2003? I think it was. And the commentator said the famous line, he's just out the beard, the beer. I think that's what kind of parallel to that on Saturday when Willems hit one and then Edwards comes straight back up the other end, sticks in between the posts.
I mean, there was a player that also played phenomenal this weekend was Willems as well. What I like about the Stormers is even though it's early days in the season, it's only the second game. I mean, I was talking to someone else that said, can you base what the season's going to look like off 2 games? It's still early. She says probably after 4 or 5 games is where you can actually start determining how the season's going to end. So it's still early days. I mean, for Munster as well, it's still early days for you guys, for the Sharks. Storm is definitely.
Yeah, well, it's early
gonna
days for the Sharks, but it makes no difference. So, like,
yeah, for all of us, it's still early days. I don't think we've got to the full potential, and the teams that beat us, I don't think they're at their full potential quite as yet. We still have to get to the challenging parts of the season where you start losing players due to injury. So that is also where you have to see how the youngsters step up or how the people slot in if they have to go into a position that isn't their usual position, but they can still do it. I mean, we're looking at Sasha only coming back probably December wise. I heard Dion Ferree in an interview say he's aiming for the Sharks game to play against the Sharks. So, I mean, we're looking at some real class players coming back in that period. How it's going to turn out is another story. We're going to have to wait and see how that goes on. But, I mean, we had the Scarlets losing at home to Cardiff. The Bulls had a phenomenal game against Edinburgh, brother versus
that was a
brother
good
in
game.
that game.
Yeah.
And the Lions as well started off Saturday against Ulster and I watched that game. That was phenomenal. Lions look like it's a completely different team. I don't know what's up with them right now. And then we had Leinster versus Dragons on Friday. That was just I watched part of that game and it looked like it was fairly even. And then next thing you know, Leinster just put into a different gear, ran away. Glasgow Warriors, the current champions, up against Benetton, where Glasgow again had them look like they were going up against a team that could go toe to toe, and then again just put into a different gear and just thanks for coming.
The end of the half in that game, I don't know if you saw it. Now, in fairness, it was probably the most red cards you'll ever see because Adam Hastings, the 10, took the ball above, and the second row it's just gone and shouldered him in the head without a wrap or anything. But I think there was only what, 5 points in it, I think it was, or 4 points in it before I watched the game. My head's still spinning. I kind of forgetting things. For kind of so young, I'm forgetting all these things. But yeah, it was a score game. There was a score in it, and then Benetton, man down, Glasgow being the champions that they are, just picked the game up. And I'll come back. I want to talk about that Lions Ulster game for a minute because I'm pretty sure the 3 of us watched it. I'm pretty sure we were talking about watching it. I agree. The Lions really impressive. I know they're at home. There's a expectation to perform, but they were really good. I was really impressed with them. I don't think Ulster were quite as good as they could have been, but I was really impressed with the Lions.
Yeah. We seem to your audio seems to have gone a bit funny there, so don't worry, Shark. It wasn't just you.
You saw it.
Yeah, it wasn't just you. No, but I mean the Lions. It was definitely an awesome game. Like you said, that card. I saw the whole thing. But I mean, I know we don't want to harp on it too much because our teams didn't do too well. But I mean, again, we're looking at another week of great rugby, great head-to-head things. We starting off tomorrow with Scarlets versus Connacht at the Scarlets. Then we got Cardiff versus Glasgow at Cardiff. I see the Lions and the Bulls are swapping opposition this week as well, with Edinburgh going to the Lions and the Bulls playing against Ulster. Then we got Benetton versus Leinster, with Leinster going to the Benetton game. Dragons versus Sharks. Please, Jacques, you're playing against the Dragons. I've made the I've made the
So
prediction
2-0.
that the Sharks are going to win, and I take it there was a goal
I
there.
hope so.
2-0, 2-0.
Well, I hope the Sharks do win, because I'm going to Kings Park for the first time in my life for CMO course. So hopefully it'll bring us good luck.
Yes,
Yeah,
along with Wakanda forever.
and yeah, and he's not the only one going to the game this weekend. Munster are playing the Ospreys, as you all know.
Yeah.
If we lose, so you know the car I'm driving is going straight out into the River Lee in Cork. Because I'm just not dealing with that. I think it's only fair. I'll let you grill me over Munster Zebra, considering I was rubbing it into Kirby there a few minutes ago at the Ospreys game. But
No, I'm
I
not
guess
going to. Listen, I don't know what happened to you guys. I mean, when I saw you guys were up, I was like, oh, here we go. It's going to be a normal game. And then when I saw the fact that I think you guys only put on 5 points and they just put on the rest of it after half time. They definitely had you in the second half. The second half is the game that lost it for you guys.
yeah, the
But
second
I mean,
half.
yeah.
The second half, I'm just gonna say. I mean, I don't like. I overreacted a bit on social media. I'm sure you saw. I thought you saw Kirby. You laughed at me. But the second half was genuinely the worst half of rugby I think I've ever seen from a Munster team, and I've witnessed the bad days, the bad days, the smashings we've got. It was like too many of them just didn't care. You could see it in the face that too many of them were strolling around. And as I said I said a lot of these points on the Black Feather podcast, that you know some of these guys, especially John Klein, they're just not match fit. They've been out for too long, too many injuries, and some of these guys just aren't good enough. I think our two centers weren't good enough. I think our front row was certainly not good enough. But you know, at the same time, credit to Zebra. I think Zebra were better. They ran up through the middle of us. We're giving it too easy, in my opinion, but they took it. They scored some good tries. They didn't just score boring attritional tries. They scored some real cracking tries. Obviously, Munster were hurt by injury. Shane Daly and our new South African Pakir Abrams both went off in the first half. But you can't blame that. You can't blame the rest. I'm not going to blame anything else other than the fact that I don't think the players were good enough. There was two players I thought played well in the game, and that was Roaring Quinn, who's our young number 6. He's only 21. I think he showed a lot of potential. And his name's after escaping me now. Mike Haley, sorry, our fullback Mike Haley, I thought played pretty decent. When he got the ball, he created the last try, which I thought might get us back into it, but no, it didn't. But overall, I think, yeah, look, what can you say? I could speak for hours and hours on this game. I just think it was poor. It was about as poor as Munster had gotten. We need to respond this Saturday. We need to beat the Ospreys, who are a good side, because we're playing Leinster away next weekend. And you know, that's another case of I'm going up to that game, and if I see Leinster copy us and have to listen to the Leinster fans, I mean, onto the person here. So yeah, I mean, as I said, poor performance. And the other game we've talked about, our third co-host has been sitting in the corner hoping I wouldn't ask him about this. Jack, 20 points up. What happened? What happened? Come on, bro. We spoke on for the green stage, acceptance stage. You need to explain to me what happened.
I'm sorry, I have no answer. They just parked the Shark Tank and just said, "Go forth, children. Play your game. We will watch you."
You mean
I couldn't believe
they
it,
played
but
they played like Dara's microphone at the moment, just
Yeah.
Dara, I'll brighten your mood a bit. The Virgin Island team beat our Pumas,
Yeah, I
it's
saw
our
that.
provincial team. You know, at least they
But
could beat them.
you know, it's a bad weekend when I get my happiness out of Connacht, the Connacht side of my family, because Munster were so bad. But yeah, I mean, I watched part of that game and I was going, you know, Connacht are 20 points down here after I'm watching Munster get beat by the supposed worst team in the league. I hate rugby. I hate everything rugby. I'm never going to watch this sport again. But no, I mean, Connacht, to be fair, I mean, first of all, the Sharks completely fell off a cliff. I think the Sharks are good in the first half. Andre Estres, and we know how good he is. Spurs are after conceding there, by the way. It's 2-1 now. But yeah, but Connacht were all over the place. The Sharks were just walking through them, much like Zebra did to Munster. But Connacht shaped up. They got the likes of Matt Hansen into the game. They got Josh Ioane into the game. They got their centres into the game, and they were blowing holes through the Sharks. They were playing some really lovely rugby in Galway. Obviously, they're doing up that stadium, so there's a limited capacity. You know, not as many people have to watch them get beat every second week. So I think that's actually a reward to the people of Galway for having to deal with Connacht for the last however many years. But I think, who knows, maybe it was the Sharks being charitable, or maybe they're just that bad. I mean, I don't know what to say.
But I
But
mean,
no, see,
sorry,
I
yeah,
actually don't
there's
know who
one
the Sharks
player.
are playing this weekend, but they'll need to bounce back. Who are they playing?
I'll get to that
As
now.
long
But
as they win.
yeah, you're playing the
Yeah,
Dragons.
Yeah.
Oh God, if they don't, I mean, if you don't win that, Jack, that's as bad as
Yeah.
us.
But
I
I
was
mean,
about to say, don't say if you don't win that. You lost to Zebra. Point.
Who lost to Zebra? Who? Wait, what was your last result against Zebra? You lost to them as well. Okay. No. I don't know if you can remember, but I can. Okay, I remember
I
that
can't
game.
remember, but let's not talk about last season. That's not something I ever want to talk about. That was the worst rugby season of the Sharks that I've ever seen in my life.
but they still
So,
ended
at
above
least
Zebra.
And how did the Stormers get on this weekend? I can't wait till you play Zebra away. Oh yeah, it's this weekend.
This weekend,
I
yeah.
am. I've an Italy jersey. I'm wearing it. I'm wearing it on the podcast next week. I'm a massive Zebra fan. Always been a fan of what they do. So Forza Parma. Let's just say that, Kirby, because if you come on
Oh,
after
but
all of
jeez.
this, if you come on after all of this and you lose to Zebra, the grilling you're going to get next weekend is going to be amazing.
Subscriber you have dialed is unavailable. Please try again later. Yeah, listen, I mean, yeah, but I mean, going back to the Sharks, there's one player that I'm actually excited for at the Sharks, and that's Lorenzo Julies, the boogeyman.
the boogeyman.
Who's coming? Who has the time on their hands to call someone the boogeyman?
I have no idea, but I watched him in the under-20s, and that's where I saw him.
It's a nickname that's been given to him when he was in Standard 9 already.
Yeah. He is a player to watch. I mean, if he can learn under Esterhazen and I mean, he could be like the next Jean de Jong that can come in and slot in at any position in that center line. I'm excited to see his career. I'm excited to see how he goes on from here. Unfortunately, his debut game was a loss. It's not something that you want to remember. But I mean, he is a player to keep an eye on right now. He is exciting. That under-20 championship that happened here, he was exciting to watch. Those lines that he was cutting and running. Yeah, I'm gonna say. I mean, also talking about the Sharks and Springboks, we have to congratulate Eben Etzebeth for getting to 128, becoming the most capped Springbok. And such a great guy for the sport, such a great guy for our country. He always always puts up his hand. When he's asked to do the job, he does the job. We cannot fault him for what he's done. He's always been such a great guy. He's always one of those players that if he sees one of his teammates in a scuffle, he is there to back them up. I wish him loads more and everything like that. And yeah, all the best to him. If he ever watches our channel, go get him, boy.
Yeah, to be fair to Esteban, he's been the model. He's been the model second row, hasn't he, for a number of years now. As much as he's loved to break my heart as an Irishman, in terms of and a Munster fan throughout the years, he's beat us a lot nearly on his own. What a player! I mean, that's an honour to be the most capped player for any country is ridiculous. Never mind a country where they've won the World Cup 4 times, because I actually only learned that the other day. Nobody actually ever said it to me before the other day, but I actually learned that they won it 4 times, and Ireland had never got past the quarter final. Because I actually, in my ignorance, I thought the World Cup ended at the quarter final stage. I never. That's when all the fun ends anyway. It gets too serious after the quarterfinals. Oh, we have to
because then there's comments like "enjoy your retirement."
No, but it gets too serious after the group stage. So we're just madness. We want to go home. We want to sit on a beach in Marbella and start drinking sangria and watch the rest of you knock 10 shades out of each other. I think the semi-finals and final are overrated. Personally, like when people are talking about the World Cup in France, they're always talking about the quarterfinals that happened last year. I'm just saying the fun ended after that. Once we went, no Ireland, no party. So I think that semis and final are overrated. But again, back onto topic. Fair play to even that's the best. Great serve in South Africa. Great serve into South African rugby. Spurs have just won his full time. I can breathe like a normal. I can breathe like a. But yeah,
URCS. United
great
Champions Sports.
Rugby, if you want to find yourself, looking 50 years old at the age of 12, support Spurs and support Munster, because that'll do that for you. But yeah, fair play to Esteban.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, we need to start wrapping up. So let's go through the games right now and give our predictions of who's going to win. Let's not go down to the points and everything. Scarlets versus Connacht. What are your guys? Let's first start off with Friday being Cardiff versus Glasgow. Who do you think you got? Who have you got to take that one?
I think that could be a good game. It's only in Cardiff, which means it'll be more difficult. I think Cardiff will give a good game. Cardiff are a hard side to beat, but I think I've looked at the Glasgow side. I've looked at the Cardiff side. I think that Glasgow side's a small bit stronger. I think Glasgow will take it. There won't be much in it, but I think Glasgow will take it. But I think Cardiff will get a losing bonus point.
Jock?
I'm going to be different. I think Cardiff is going to take it.
Okay,
I think they wanted more.
I'm with Glasgow. And then we got the Scarlets versus Connacht.
The second home, I have to pick them to win, don't I? I mean, Scarlets have started the season really well. They played really well against Cardiff. They played well against Treviso, but I think Connacht are a better side. Connacht have been promising in their first 2 games. I'm going to say Connacht to take the win there.
Same here.
Same.
All right, then we got Lions versus Edinburgh. I said the Lions are going to take that one.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Lions. I think Edinburgh are too inconsistent throughout the game. They don't hold themselves for 80 minutes. I think the Lions will take that.
Yeah, I mean, especially if they play the same way as they did last week. And then we got the Bulls versus Ulster. I said the Bulls are going to win.
Yeah, I agree. I think Ulster just didn't show enough for me last week to show that they'd be able to topple the Bulls away.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I support 2 teams, the Sharks and any team that plays against the Bulls. I'm going to go with Ulster.
Good man. We're turning you to the Irish side, Jack. Slowly but surely. Turning you to the dark side, boy.
Come to the dark side. We have cookies. Benetton versus Leinster. I said Leinster's got to win against Benetton.
I'm with Jock on this one. I have two favorite teams: Munster and whoever plays Leinster. Benetton by about 70. No, but realistically, I think actually Leinster will win because Leinster are bringing back all their Ireland internationals to play their 3 games a season for Leinster. So yeah, I think Leinster will win, but Benetton will make it a good game.
And then we got
Yeah.
Dragons versus the Hollywood Bet Sharks. I said the Sharks
Dragons
gonna
versus the 50 million name Sharks, is it? Yeah. Dragons.
win. Sharks.
Sharks.
I said Sharks as well. I mean, yeah. Then we got
Dragons
Munster
easy.
versus Munster versus Ospreys. I think the Ospreys are going to bring. No, I'm
Ospreys.
just joking. I said realistically, Munster's going to win because especially with the fact that you're playing there in Cork. I think you said is the
Yeah,
game.
Cork. I said
So-
earlier in the week that we'd win, and if I said that in front of a bunch of Ospreys fans, I'm not going to be scared to say it in front of you two idiots. So Munster are going to win against the Ospreys.
Yeah. And then we got the Zebra Palmer versus the DHL Stormers. I said the Stormers are going to win.
Who?
Stormers.
Who are they? I've never heard of them. Never heard
The
of them.
DHL Stormers. We are going to deliver a victory.
The DHL light wind, more like Zebra Parma, Parmesan cheese, Parma ham. We love it. We live for it. But in reality, I think that the Stormers will narrowly win, and he will get his flowers to laugh at me next week because they beat Zebra and we didn't.
I won't go on too much, especially with the fact that one of my clients said his dad's like, "Who's this Dara guy that keeps commenting on the banter group?" You're becoming quite famous, Dara.
I'm a celebrity now, you know. I mean, people of Limerick, if you want my autograph, you don't need a line out beside my house. I do leave it. I will. I'll be there. I'll have the pen and all. Okay, you just need to bring your paper and bring your phones for selfies. Okay.
All right, guys. Thanks very much for a great episode. I just want to say to everybody, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. The more it grows, the more it helps us. We're hoping to grow this even more to the point that we can do things where we can actually go to games and actually have one-on-one with you guys. Especially Dara, who's at nearly every single game in a red shirt. So
Sadly,
you look for the red
sadly.
people.
Sadly, I spend all my money on these lot, and they disappoint every single time.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, thanks very much. Have a good one. Thanks, Dara. Thanks, Jacques.